Test 1 2. I'm assuming that this is recording. I don't do this often. So hey guys, it's your classmate Scott Janis. I wanted to kind of give all of you a little piece of what I've learned over the years, in particular regarding modes. I taught guitar for years, and modes and modal theory, Ionian, Dorian, all that stuff. That's been part of kind of my lexicon for a long, long time, many years. And I wanted to. I know that there may be some people out there in our class who may be kind of struggling with the overall concept of modes. And I think the reason for that is although the class is great and everything, there is a fundamental element. I mean, through teaching modes and teaching, one of the things I found is that there's a core component of what modes actually are and why they're basically called modes. And once I found that, at least in my experience, once my students were kind of savvy to that and I kind of showed them this concept, then the concept of modes really just kind of unraveled and unfolded itself and spun itself out, and it made a lot more sense. So take this for what it's worth or delete it. I don't care, whatever you want to do. But hopefully this will help some of you who may be struggling with the overall concept of, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, all that stuff. So now this is a very guitar-centric kind of tutorial, but let's take the key of F major 7. The only reason why I'm doing F major or F major 7 is because it's the lowest point on the guitar. Now you can do this exercise on a keyboard too, but on the guitar, you'll see visually the concept of what a mode is makes a little more sense. So if I'm in the key, first of all, I'm assuming everybody who's going to be watching this understands major diatonic theory. If we're in the key of F major, you've got, your one major, your 2 minor, your 3 minor, your 4 minor, your 5 dominant 7, your 6 minor, and then your 7 half diminished or minor 7 flat 5, and then you go back to your tonic or your Ionian mode. And the Ionian mode, again, as you know, you have, well, before we get to that, with these actual diatonic chords, you also have the diatonic scales that match them. So you've got, before we actually give them the mode designation, let's just say, okay, well, if the one chord in the major diatonic chord scale is major 7, well, then the scale is going to be, it's going to be a major 7. If the 2 chord is a minor 7, right, and so on, right? Okay, so if you think about modes is essentially that basically ascension across the diatonic major scale. So for example, if I play an F major scale and I go from F to F, that's F Ionian. Now, if I play the same F major scale, but instead of going from F to F, I start 1 degree up and I go from G to G. Whoops, sorry. Now that's still F major, really, when you think about it. I'm just starting and ending on a different note. I'm still playing, and if you notice, my hand doesn't really change, only the fingering. So I'm in an F major scale. This is a complete F major scale in first position. 2 octaves up. Right? It's kind of hard for me to play up like this. Let's see if I can maybe make this. All right, maybe a little better. Okay. Yeah, it's much better. Okay, so right, so if I play this F major scale, but instead of going from F to F, I go from G to G. It's still an F major scale, but we're now in the Dorian mode. Okay, so if I play the same F major scale, but this time I go from A to A, I'm still essentially playing the F major scale. I'm just starting and ending on a different note, or a different mode, which would be the Phrygian mode, which also corresponds to the 3rd degree of the diatonic major scale, which is minor, right? So, right? So again, F major from F to F is the Ionian mode. F major from G to G is the Dorian mode. It's still F major, but now I'm starting and ending on a different note. Now, if we take that Dorian mode in, by itself as a standalone, we have basically a minor scale, right? Yeah. Okay. So basically if we go, let's go around all the modes, but we'll stay in one position. So F Ionian is the major scale. Okay. G Dorian is basically the F major scale, but you're starting in a different mode of the F major scale, or a different location. You're now starting and ending on G. You're starting on G and you're ending on G. It's still an F major scale, but this time you're starting in a different mode, which corresponds with the second diatonic chord in the chord scale of F major. So now, and that's called the Dorian mode. And again, it illustrates the concept, I think, a little better when you're actually in one position and you see, okay, here's Ionian mode. Here's F Ionian, but this time I'm starting from G to G, which essentially is G Dorian. And then the third Phrygian, right? Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, and now back to Lydian again, Aeonian, Ionian. Right, but you can see here, I'm still in like the position of the F major scale. I haven't really changed scales per se, and I haven't changed keys. We're always in the key of F major when we're dealing with any of the chords from the diatonic scale, right? We're still in F major. And again, now you can also do it this way, where you actually go horizontally up the neck. Right? Right, so it's the same thing, but the point is, modes are essentially you're starting and you're ending on a different degree of the major scale. It's all based on Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. They're all based on the various diatonic degrees of the major scale. You're just starting and ending on a different note, which gives you different intervals and which gives you the different qualities that correspond with the diatonic major scale. I mean, if I was in the key of D minor, right, and I even add even if I have like a flat six, right, which is basically a D Aeolian, which is part of F major. I can play an F major scale all day long over that. Right, so it doesn't, I can play the F major will work fine over that. Right, so hopefully that helps. Yeah, there you go. Thanks.